Hi, everyone. My name is Tiffany Fernandez. I am the COO and co founder of Waywiser. We are so excited to have all of you guys join us today. Today, we have two very special guests with Laura Mock and Carrie Alberts from iN2L. Both are experts in the field of recreation and dementia and have put together a great resource for caregivers on the importance of self care. Before we start, we would like to be an interactive webinar. So please send any questions you have in the chats and we'll discuss. Take it away, Laura.
Hello, everybody. I'm excited and thrilled to be here. And I'm here with my talented colleague and friend, Carrie, and we'll go ahead and just get started. All right, so our webinar presentation today is Caregiver Self-Care. And we feel like that is sometimes highly overlooked, probably not intentionally, but just because of how busy everybody is when you're giving care to someone. And so we thought this would be a great opportunity to talk about that. And here is our game plan for today. Our agenda or our objectives is to discover why is caregiver self-care so important. And we'll go over those options. We've divided up our webinar between the two of us to go over these objectives. Ideas for realistic self-care. Certainly we'd love to, all go to a lovely beach island in Tahiti or something, but we'll have some great ideas for realistic. Not to say that Tahiti's out of the whole picture altogether. And then some resources to help as well. So this is just a little bit about me and my background and how I came to be here today with you, joining you today. And thanks again for taking time out of your busy schedules. We know how busy you are to attend. So hopefully you'll have some great takeaways in helping you on your journey. What my slide does not talk about is that I also, at the community I worked at, was the continuing care community. I was part of the hospice startup team there, and I had the opportunity to help build our volunteer program through hospice, which was incredible. And it turned out to lead me to be a better primary caregiver for my mother. For the last 2 years of her life, she had COPD. I was her primary caregiver. We were able to get her home for the end stages of her life and give her that quality life too. So I feel very, very empowered and excited to be here and in this position to share with you. And with that, let me send it over to Ms. Carrie.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you for being here. We're super excited to talk with you guys today. And as Laura said, caregiver self-care is often overlooked because we don't have time. So we have to really plan it out, unfortunately. And our lives are going really fast. So we're going to just try to help you out a little bit with getting started there. But a little bit about me. I've been with iN2L since December, but I've been in this field for the last 10 years, working with seniors and especially people living with dementia and their caregivers. I'm a certified dementia practitioner and certified Montessori dementia professional as of recently. And I am online dementia darling. So follow me, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and I have a website with some resources for you as well. And it is a place for dementia caregivers to find community, to find resources, and to just know they're not alone, because that's just something I find that's really common, and you are not alone. And also check out my book will be coming out in July, so stay tuned for that. So thank you so much for being here again. Before we start though, I'm going to ask you to engage with one of our polls. We want to know if you slept well last night, and be real with us, because we get it and we know it's not always possible, right, to get the best sleep. So did you feel like you got enough sleep last night? I can tell you I did not. So I'm on the no. And usually I'm a good sleeper, but I can say I have that kind of usually going for me, but not last night. And that's a really big issue for caregivers. So we'll talk a little bit about that.
Oh, right. So just like this says, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Overexerting ourselves over time will lead to burnout. And I spent 4.5 years majoring in therapeutic recreation. So every bit of my fiber is about learning about the importance of leisure, yet I do know how hard it is to fit that in your schedule. So we definitely want to take time to, even if it's just 5 minutes, that can be super beneficial. Even those 5 minutes to take time, give yourself a chance to relax, whatever it is that you find relaxing. You know, what the leisure opportunities for you are is not going to be exactly the same for someone else. In some cases, that solitude is so coveted. In others, you want to be around people. There's just endless possibilities. And so we definitely would like you to recognize that it's really, really hard when you are drained, when you're exhausted, to provide care for others and for yourself. And it does lead to burnout. And this includes sleep, as we were just talking about. And as we're waiting for our answers on the poll there to come in, I'll just continue. But sleep is huge. I know some of the things that I use in the evenings, reading a book helps me kind of relax, as well as if I have the Calm app. And so I like to listen to sleep stories, and helps me kind of drift off into sleep as well. But sleep is huge for your mental, physical health, and socialization as well. Those are all what helps build up what your daily routines are and how you can handle it as caregivers. You can see that 75% of family caregivers find caregiving to be stressful. And we have to find a way to manage that stress so we can avoid burnout. And here's some stats for you, just so you can take a look. Over the last 5 years, 40 million family caregivers provided care in the United States. And that's huge. I mean, look at how many of us are, kind of like, if you even speak to the sandwich generation, you're like the peanut butter and jelly inside between two breads. You're caregiving for your parents, and then you're also caregiving for your family, your children, and that sort of thing. And finding that balance is even more important for you to have time to care for yourself. It's estimated that 20% are caring for aging parents, and 85% of caregivers do not get any respite from their caregiving duties. And that's a huge red flag that points out to us that it is so necessary that you carve time for yourself to refuel, to re-energize, to do the things that you like too. And what even counts as self-care? So it's not just face mask and bubble bath. And with that, I'm going to let Carrie take over, and we'll see if we got all our results in for the poll yet. Did everybody get a chance to tell us how much sleep you did get or did not?
Yeah, it's nice to see where, it's pretty balanced actually. Okay, now we're getting more no's, but we have a couple yeses in there. So I'm glad for some of you got sleep, but I know it's definitely not a universal thing, and it's not an every night thing, right? So I hope you can find time to get good sleep. So I just want to reiterate, well, one thing I want to say is you said about the sandwich caregivers. I just recently learned about triple-decker caregivers who are taking care of kids, parents, and grandparents. Wow, that's intense. As our loved ones live longer, as our lifespans are getting longer, this is going to start happening. We're going to see this more. As well, I just want to say that our self-care changes with our caregiving experience, right? We have different seasons in our caregiving journey that are going to require different parts and things in our self-care. So yeah, sometimes our self-care might be, it's really great we get bubble baths. Other times it's going to be making sure we go to the doctor because that's the priority at the time. Or, other phases in our life, it might be the actual vacation time. And then in other seasons, it's 5 minutes in the bathroom alone. So it really changes, and you have to kind of go through that wave of going with the seasons of care, and especially with dementia caregiving, as your loved one is always progressing, and so the care needs are adapting, and you're trying to keep up with that. That adds more stress, and that makes it harder to find self-care as we're trying to maneuver those new routines and such. So there's just so many layers to this, and so I want to just acknowledge that. But let me go forward, and we're going to talk a little bit about how, it's not just face masks and bubble baths. I hate when everyone's just like, oh, take a bath, take some deep breaths, you're going to be okay. It's a lot more than that. So, it's great to do these things and they add up and they help us. But it's kind of not just, okay, I did one meditation, that's all that I need. Sometimes we have to do a couple of things to really feel our best. So some just self-care ideas that we were talking about and we think that are important. Breath work, really taking time to kind of like, put your hand in your chest and your tummy and doing those deep breaths. It's just a great way to ground yourself. And I know when I'm stressed or, I've been looking at the social media too much or something, I need to do that breath work. And especially, being outside or something can help in that as well. Meditation is, of course, wonderful. It's super hard for me to do. So I'm a really big like walking meditation person. So, there's different types of meditation that you can look into and try and find something that works for you. Getting outdoors always makes us feel good. I think it fills us and feels good to be in sun. Except I'm in Vegas and I would rather have rain any day. That would make me much happier. So, but establishing routines is a big one, especially with dementia caregivers, right? Because it's good to have things that we know are going to happen. We're going to try to keep some balance and routine in there to help support both your loved one and you, so you kind of know what to expect and when you're going to have time for yourself and where you can carve out those specific times for yourself. Being kinder. I think that's a huge one. And it's even so online. I see, we compare ourselves to other caregivers. We, look at our friends that are non-caregivers and, we kind of beat ourselves up for, not having other things or not being able to do certain things. So we need to be kinder to ourselves and realize, what we're doing is really important and give ourselves some credit and be kind to ourselves in these tough times. And then another thing is time away from care duties is huge. And like Laura stated, that's that respite care, right? So respite care can be anything from, that hour you get away to a week or what have you. So respite is so important, but very seldom, especially since the pandemic. It's hard to find care. It's hard to find people to come in the home to help. And it's hard to get that time away. So that's really important when we can try to make plans and prepare in advance to really give ourselves the respite we need. Okay, so I'm going to go forward. So another thing that we like to say is just like adding joy to everyday routines can help throughout your day and just kind of add a little fun. So things like aromatherapy. I'm obsessed with getting like nice room sprays that kind of ground me, and I do in certain rooms, and I just love the smell. Playing your favorite music, and dancing around a little bit. Calling a friend, while you're walking the dog, maybe, or adding pictures to your space that make you smile. But making time for those little things that just add. If you're going to be walking to the mailbox, might as well pop in, a song or something, or just adding those little things to kind of spark some joy in our day is wonderful. And especially when you can intertwine those like joyful moments with your loved one, that can even be better, right? And intertwining those moments for them as well. Okay. I talk really fast, so if you need anything or have any questions, please put it in the chat. Again, even just for 5 minutes, it's great to just take time to focus on things that give us joy. I know I love to water my plants. It's actually a problem. I keep killing them because I like find joy. It's very relaxing to me. So I like going around and, watering my plants and taking time to look at them and see how they've grown. And that really gives me some peace for those minutes and stuff, and can kind of restart me sometimes. So finding those little things can be really cool. Okay, so of course, don't forget, as we said, sleep is vital. And I see for yeses, we have 6 yeses and 8 nos for sleep, getting enough sleep last night. So thank you for answering that. And I hope tonight for my no people is a little bit better for you. But sleep is vital, right? This takes a huge toll on our body, and it can actually lead to more health problems. And we just want to make sure that we're getting the sleep we need, and our brain can rest at night. And I know, again, it's so much easier said than done. And if you are having trouble, I highly recommend, seeing what maybe your physician can do to help you, or, just finding ways to put that as a priority in your life, because you are worth it and you're worth getting sleep. Also to take care of your mind and body. So taking care of your doctor's appointments and not letting those get pushed off. I think a lot of people probably kind of push theirs off through COVID, and I know I did. So it's kind of like the time where I need to kind of catch up and get back on track. Because I know it's sad to say this, but if you are not well and you need a caregiver, who's going to care for your loved one? So we really need to care for ourselves so we can avoid that time. And socialization. Give yourself opportunities to be around people that give you like the safe space feeling, that let you be yourself, can vent, can just listen, right? And not maybe give you advice when you don't want it and things like that, and can help you laugh. I think the number one thing is that make my days better is laughing. And I have a group chat with some girlfriends, and we just send each other voice chats all day back and forth, and we get to them when we can. But it makes my life, because I can hear their voices, I can hear their laughs. It makes me feel like I'm with them and connected. So finding someone in your life that you can do that with, or finding a community online like Dementia Darling, like Waywiser, things like that, where you can find like-minded people that are going through this, because there's a ton of you. I promise. You're not alone. And there's an amazing community out there on all social media networks, and people that are ready to bring you in, embrace you, and support you. So I just want to make sure that is apparent, that there are people out there that care. And I have grown some of the best relationships through my community, and I've never met them in person, but I feel like they're my family. So you just don't underestimate the power of that if you don't necessarily have people physically in your life that can provide that support. Okay. So I wanted to just say really fast, another poll. I want to know, before I talk about these resources, do you find it challenging to find time for self-care? Can you answer that for me? I want to see if I got any no's. So do you find it challenging to find time for self-care? Oh, I got some no's. Okay. Good. Can you put in the chat for my no's? Do you have support? Do you get respite? I want to know what your secret is. No, I'm just kidding. But I want to know, do you have any tips for our people who can't find that time? I would love to share. I think that's one of the most important things about our community, is sharing what works and not keeping those to ourselves. If you find something that works, scream it from the rooftops, because you could really help other people. Okay. I'm going to tell you a little bit about these resources, and then please, if you want to put anything in the chat, we can also put some stuff out there and chat about any tips and tricks you have. So Waywiser, of course, number one, we got to use Waywiser for some great stuff. So you can, keep your life coordinated in one place, talk to your caregiving team, find resources and more, and really make time for yourself by carving it out, putting it in your calendar and things like that. So Waywiser is a wonderful resource. Laura brought up the Calm app. So I have to tell you, I am a true crime fan. And I recently went to a thing where I realized that on the Calm app, there is some, for people who like true crime, and the voice of the gentleman from Dateline, he just did one, and it's like a silly, calm, app, a sleep story, and it's pretty great. So definitely, check it out. I just did the free trial, and it was great. So you just get the free trial if you wanted to start out. And beautiful soundscapes on there, some great meditations, and just to get you started. But other resources that are wonderful, of course, support groups. Search for local ones, virtual ones. There are many out there. And, if you're a millennial caregiver, you can find ones for those groups and things like that. You can find people that are in your same position and are experiencing these things. And again, that's just so important. And then Happify is actually like a mental health app. So go on happify.com. It's pretty great. And it's just a great way to kind of recenter and look at positivity and gratefulness and help with our happiness. And then Wiser Now is like a fun page with activities and cool stuff to do and engagements to do. But I want to see our chat. We got something in here, Laura?
Yep, we sure do. We had Lindsay typed out for us that she did not say no, but she finds it helps to plan ahead and ask for help. and it's a gift to help someone. And she's absolutely 100% right. It is. And you'd be surprised that people really desire to help others. There's lots of folks that are in your corner but don't know how to help, and aren't necessarily sure what you need. And a lot of times, some of my friends, when I was caring for my mom, well, I didn't call or I didn't text you because I wasn't sure if you finally were able to get some sleep, or and I let them know. I said, I can go to my phone whenever I have the time, and you're not going to disturb me. It's fine. But there was lots of things I needed. We're out of groceries or something like that. Or can you come, and mom's tired of looking at my face. Could you just come and be a different face? And it gave both of us a lot of that connection feeling, that it wasn't just the two of us against the world out there, as well. And so I think, Lindsay, you're spot on. We also have a question here. James is asking, how do we deal with caregiver guilt? My mom used to say, guilt is a useless emotion. And she was not one who thinks from the heart. She always thought from the head. God bless her. But she had a point there. It is tough to get through that guilt, but if you are showing up and doing the best that you can, then you should have no guilt. And I have no doubt in my mind, anybody who is a caregiver in the first place is doing the right thing, and they're doing their best. And to ask for help when you need help, that is so important too. So that is a great question, James. How do you guys deal with caregiver guilt? And so anybody else out there joining us today who has some tips for James too, please share. We don't have the market on all of the questions and answers too, but I think that's a huge one. And just even asking about that and putting it out there is big too. That takes a strong person to do that. But yeah, you can't let the guilt, and that's how I found comfort when, I know there was one time I went away for the weekend, and I came back and I felt, but what happened was my two nephews came and stayed with my mom, and that time they had, that is what, meant the world to both of them. When it did come time for her to pass away, they treasure those moments they had with her the weekend I went away. And so anytime you start feeling that guilt, maybe talk to somebody about it, and they can help be your sounding board and talk you through it. Don't try to just keep stuffing it down, because it is a very real thing and happening for sure.
Absolutely. And to reiterate what Laura said, I mean, one of my favorite things to say to caregivers is, thank you for showing up. Thank you for just showing up, because that's the biggest thing. So many people, in my experience, the majority of people don't show up for their loved ones. And it's really unfortunate. And that's why I like to always thank caregivers profusely and say, just thank you for taking this on. It's not like you wake up and you're like, I want to caregive forever for my loved one. Like, you don't do that. You don't usually choose it. You wake up and you're assigned this, a lot of the times. And some people don't take the call. A lot of people don't. And the fact that you're showing up for your loved one should give you the grace to not feel guilty. I would hope. I want you to give yourself that permission to not feel guilty, because you are doing so much more than most people. You are keeping this person going in their life. You are everything to them. So give yourself that grace, and remember how important you are, and there's no guilt there, because you are incredible. So just remember that. I just thank you for showing up in any sense. And you can't always show up your best self. That's impossible. We're human. But you show up and you wake up and you keep going. So great. And then when it is time, when you're like, I can't do this anymore, that's also showing up for ourselves. Because if we say, and we're truthful and honest with our loved ones and say, I can now not do this because of burnout or because of finance or whatever it is. And when you're honest, that's going to be able to provide them better care, because then we can find who can provide the best care for them. Because if you can no longer do it, you're not going to serve anyone right? That's going to be bad for you. That's going to be bad for them. So being honest with yourself, giving yourself grace on this journey is, I think, number one. And to also say, go back to what Lindsay said, I just did a post with a family caregiver who's a sandwich caregiver. And she was reiterating about how it is so big for family members to understand how these little things they might think it's little, but it can be so big for a caregiver. So she realized her siblings didn't really understand how they could help. They didn't know, people are intimidated. They see what you're doing, all this really hard, intense work with this person, doing more personal care and stuff. And they might assume that's what you're going to ask them to do. So it's good to be upfront and say, you don't have to bathe, Mom. I just need you to maybe come and pick up our laundry and then bring it back clean once a week. Or send groceries if you're not near. Send a DoorDash. Send, do whatever you can to be supportive. Be on the phone with that loved one so the caregiver can chill and take a shower for an hour or something, So doing these things can actually mean a lot. So once you have each family member kind of has their assignment, you can have this better camaraderie and they can feel like they're helping as well. And I love that you said, Laura, those moments for your family members became some of the best things, best moments for them to look back on. So it's setting themselves up for those engagements is great. But okay, I see some more. So let me see. I'm just going to say from Darlene, how do you get other siblings to help when they feel like their family comes first? See, that's really hard, right? So I hear a lot of, siblings that are like, I have 5 kids. I don't have time, and it might go on. Everything goes on the sibling that lives closest, has the most money maybe, or isn't married or has kids yet or something. It always, kind of gets put on one person a lot of the time. And I think just as I said, being upfront with your siblings and your family and saying, this is what I need from you. This is what I need to be able to last and to be able to do this job. And if you want me to be here for our parents, our grandparents, I'm going to need this from you in return if I'm going to be the one stepping up in this. So I think but that's hard. It's easier said than done, right, Laura?
Yeah. And I was just going to piggyback on that with, if you can, making a list of all the things you do every day, and you don't have to do it all in one sitting, but just add to it, and then take that list and share it with the family members and say, okay, this is what it's taking. What on this list can you help me with? And sometimes it was with my brother, he lived further away, but I'm also the caregiver. I eat, sleep, breathe. I live, this was my journey before it was personal with my mother. And so what happened is he would come and stay for the weekend, but it would be, maybe once a month or every other month, that sort of thing. And that's how we figured it out. And it was funny because, your loved one that you're caring for, I remember the first time my brother came and I was sleeping upstairs and I woke up at 6 a.m. and that was unheard of. I hadn't slept that long in forever. And I peered over, my mom had a balcony. I peered over and I see her and she's curled up in a ball in her hospital bed and her sheets are on one side and blankets are on the floor of the bed. I mean, on the floor, not in the bed, and her pillow's on the other. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I run down there. I'm like, Mom, are you cold? And she's like, yeah, I'm freezing. And I'm like, why didn't you ring your bell and have Doug come here and put your blankets on and stuff? And she's like, I didn't want to wake up your brother. He was the little boy, her little son. And, so your parents, whoever you're caregiving for, kind of has a different relationship with each of you as well. And so, expound on that. What is it that your mom, if it was your mom you were caring for, what is it that she really benefits from your siblings and vice versa, and let them, fill that for you, fill in that gap there. But, and Carrie's right, the DoorDash, I was part of a meal train is what we called it, but where everybody could sign up and it was a list of the favorite foods of your loved one, the person you're caring for. And it could be, they ordered food for you with DoorDash, or they handmade it, or whatever the case could be. So that's another opportunity where you can get some of your folks, that part of your family that's not sure, feels awkward about caregiving, and just doesn't know how to help. And I've found that just putting it all out there, a list of things that could help you in many ways, then they can pick and choose and you can kind of navigate your way through as you're able to. But yeah, there are days that I remember going, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this tomorrow? How am I going to do this the next day? And you just they say you're supposed to eat the elephant one bite at a time. I don't know if that's a great analogy or not, but because I like elephants, but just taking one step at a time, just like we said. And I see that we do have some caregivers out there that do choose to be caregivers. And that's great.
Yeah.
Forward thinking from Linda saying that she had lost her grandparents and she knew it would be up to her to make a plan for her parents. And that's brilliant in its own right there. It says sometimes her parents cooperate with tasks at hand, and often they have their own ideas. Yep, exactly. And communication of caregivers' needs is key for sure. Yep, just like what we were talking about. And I think it helps you too when you're feeling guilty. Maybe, you answered the question a little more snappy than you would, which we all do in our day in and out. But if you have that list of all the things you're doing, in addition to sharing it with people to help you do some of those, you can look at that and take care of that guilt. Just move it right off the page, because look at all the things you are accomplishing. So I think just writing and having, even if you have a journal too, that's a good outlet as well. And one of the other things I was going to mention too, think about capitalizing on when you're waiting. So if you're waiting at the doctor's office, or you're waiting on hold on the phone, or waiting, probably not waiting at a stoplight. Do you want to do some kind of recreation? But thinking about the times when you're waiting, and if there's some outlet that you could use, an app on your phone that you like. Maybe you like to play Wordle. That stresses me out. I can't imagine how you're supposed to figure out a 5-letter word without a hint, with all the millions of 5-letter words out there. But something that you enjoy, that you could do while you're waiting, that might help you in your and finding a little bit of time to balance and give yourself the care that you deserve as well.
I agree. I actually look forward to being in the car because I can listen to my podcasts. And I'm like in my own world, right? Or so, yeah, you can be at a stoplight and be listening or rocking out in the car. You know how many people have seen me dancing and singing in my car? It's ridiculous, but it makes me so happy every time. I just wanted to reiterate, Linda, you're awesome for choosing that, because like I said, not many people do, but I think we will start seeing people that are watching and aware of these changes in their families, generations above them. They're going to see, oh, I might need to step up and help my parents with this, and I might need to be there, and we might need to do some planning. But I think that's awesome. And I wanted to also say one thing I love to ask people to do for caregivers, like if you are far away from them, book all of their doctor's appointments for them. That takes so much time being on the phone. And if you can take that off their plate for them, that's huge. That's huge, because that gives them time to engage with your loved one, and then you can be a part of stuff from far away. So yeah, if you have, a sibling that's far away, maybe they can do that. But, pull into their strengths. If you have, someone who's really good with finances, they can maybe take care of that stuff. If someone's really good with, tech, maybe they can take care of, making sure their TV is working and stuff. I don't know, but yeah, you can be good about that. Yeah.
And Waywiser is a great app. I was going to say that too, for organizing. Yes. And getting those doctor's appointments all in one place, so the whole family can know what's going where and who's on first,
exactly.
So to speak, for sure.
Wow, you were 14 at the time. You're amazing, Linda. It's a lot, but they're really lucky to have you. But yeah, definitely utilize the Waywiser app. I think it's just incredible to be able to keep everything in one place, because it is, again, super overwhelming. So keep everything in one place, keep things organized, and be able to find what you're looking for and support and things like this. So it's always nice.
Absolutely.
Okay, a couple more things to say. I will literally scream this at people. I'm sorry, I'm probably getting it's a broken record, but being a part of community and having others to relate to along this journey it's not important, it's vital. It is vital, I think. Isolation is horrible for our mental health, for our health in general, for our state of well-being. And so we just need to remember we are not alone. There's community out there. There's people that are there that are literally having the same days as you and can relate with you. So just remembering that, and just, just you're not alone. Find your people. And, I find so many people that are like, my family doesn't support me. I've lost friends because they don't understand, and they just kind of give up. And I don't blame you. That's really hard. But I want you to get that hope back and start searching, and look for these people, because they are out there and they want support too. They want, to find more people like them, and spread awareness. So just want to reiterate that, that it's so important. So find your community, find your tribe. Okay. And again, just I like this. Laura said this, from impossible to I'm possible. So I'm possible of doing this self-care and taking care of myself along this journey. And I want to say, you guys got this. It's the hardest journey there is. I think it's the hardest job in the world, being a caregiver, and you have very little support. So finding things like Waywiser can be life-changing, and finding these amazing companies like iN2L, and LifeLoop, that are trying to make life easier for people, and trying to make connections and engagement and all this amazingness come together for caregivers. And I just want to say, because I don't think we did, iN2L stands for It's Never Too Late. And I love telling people that, because I say it's never too late to have meaningful connections, to make friends, to live your life, to love your life, and to, just engage with life. So it's never too late. And I just love that. And it's never too late to start taking care of yourself as a caregiver. So please remember that. Yay. Okay.
Yes.
Anything?
And yeah, if anybody, I was just going to say, if anybody has any tips, tricks, anything else they would like to put out there into our chat, please go ahead, and we'll certainly we have a little bit more time. I think we have about 3 more minutes maybe, but we would love to get to it. And there's our emails, so you can certainly reach out to us if you want to learn a little bit more about iN2L. We sell engaging technology that's geared towards seniors, and it's all touchscreen, and it's really a nice tool for those that are caregiving for people in communities as well. So, and that was, part of our draw to iN2L was what iN2L, the difference it can help make for many of the seniors, many of the people that need more 24-hour around the clock and can't be at home with a loved one, or along those lines too. So, but we really appreciate all you do, and just remember, you are amazing, and don't ever forget that. And one of the things I like to kind of close with too is, if you'll take, if you're left-handed or right-handed, either way, go ahead and take it and put it across your shoulder. If everybody will do that for me, and then I want you to just pat yourself on the back, because you're awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, just do that. Anytime you get stressed, sometimes, or you can do both arms, pat yourself and give yourself a hug, because you deserve it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you have any questions for us, any comments or anything, we'd love to hear from you. But just thank you for being here with us today. Again, like Laura said in the beginning, we know you're busy, and so we appreciate your time. And I just hope you're able to take something away from this. If you wouldn't mind putting in the chat something maybe you're going to try to do for yourself this weekend, or try to carve out some time. I like to say, just one more thing about sleep is, I see a lot of caregivers, you go through a whole routine to get your loved one to sleep, right? You do a whole rigmarole for them, you spray their pillow, you get everything done. And then for you just plop down in bed. We need to give ourselves the same care, right? We need to give ourselves the same, bedtime routine, the same care and affection that we give our loved ones. We deserve as well. So,
absolutely. And if you have any suggestions for webinars that you'd like, topics you'd like to have more discussions on, we're happy to do that. Carrie and I are probably going to do a couple more of these webinars as well, and we're excited too. I think Tiffany.
Thank you guys so much. This was so great. I just wanted to recap a couple things for everyone. Just remember that you need to take time for yourself, right? Go with the seasons of caregiving. I love that you said that, Carrie, because there are different times when you can have more or less, and add joy to anything you're doing. And I loved that just the idea of listening to music with your loved one, right? Smiling, add jokes, all of those things are great. And I encourage everyone today to do something for yourself. And remember, it's never too late. So thank you guys so much for giving us 45 minutes of your time, which we know is very, very precious to you. We're going to send out emails with references. We also have a Caregiving is Tough group on Facebook. So we talked about community. We know that a community is extremely important. So we have a Caregiving is Tough group that just popped up on the screen. So join that. It's a place for help and guidance and comments and advice. And we appreciate everyone's time. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.